I've been ADHD since sixth grade when I went to the principal's office 50 times in a year. And yeah, it was a lot. I literally would just like scoot my desk around the class. I would do anything just to not be bored. And now I've learned, kind of like Superman, how to hone in those powers when I'm creating. How do I take this super distracted, I want to look at everything, to hone it in to my screen? And I do that in the edit. And I can just move extremely fast. So what does sort of getting in the zone for me look like? It is as if the world does not exist and I am creating just out of.
Our story, the one that defines us, spins a tale of chapters that reveal the origin of our why. Join me in exploring the narratives of changemakers who rise to the moment more often than not, and who are defined not by their achievements, but by the storylines they believe in. Join me, Dr. Rod Berger, as I integrate my new book about storytelling into a conversation that meets the moment. This is The Narrative Edge, a podcast under the banner of Headroom with Dr. Rod Berger, presented by our friends at Rig Productions. And now, onto our show. Well, it's so interesting. People will ask me, especially with the book coming out. Here's my first shameless plug, The Narrative Edge, but it's the Narrative Edge podcast, so I guess it's appropriate. People have asked me, who are my favorite folks that I've interviewed, stories, times when I've been nervous or when I didn't know if I could ask or find, maybe is a better way to put it, to find the right question. And I will tell people repeatedly that I think about life as a series of at-bats. I'm a huge sports fan, and baseball is probably the lowest sport on that hierarchy, except for playoff baseball, which I do love. But that life is a series of at-bats. And yet sometimes I find that I feel such a sense of responsibility for the guest that I engage with. And it's probably because I see so much of myself in them. I don't know if they see themselves in me, and that's fine. But I really want to capture this story today. And I want to honor the story. I want to honor you as an audience member. And so just know that I am my attempt here as I enter the batter's box is to dust off my cleats, look at the pitcher, and get some really good swings or hacks, as they say, at the curveball or the heater coming right down the middle. This is a treat for me. We're going to be spending time with Max Partain. Max is a lot of things. You know what he is? He's a husband. He's a father. He's an Emmy-Award winning editor. And that's probably the order that I would go with. While so many in our world would put Emmy Award winning at the top, Max is a thoughtful human that I really feel like maybe in a past experience we shared some island somewhere. We were a part of a tribe. A good guy, a creative genius in my estimation, and someone who's just scratching the surface of his talent and the impact he's going to have on people with his ability to tell stories and to see stories even before those characters realize that they're in a story. Max, how you doing, sir?
I'm good. What a kind introduction. Oh my goodness.
Max, we talked about this. As I recall, I'm trying to even think about how we got sort of connected, and I think it was through LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I said this to you. There are so many times I'll get sort of inbound messages or different things. And nowadays, you just never know if it's a bot or if you're just part of a sequence, right?
Yeah.
You are living within a marketing drip campaign, as they say.
Yeah.
And you just don't know. Like, are you okay with that? How does it sit with you? But there was something about our connection over LinkedIn, and I'm a guy who goes by my gut, and I went, there's something about this guy. And so since then, we've developed a fast friendship, and I've learned a lot about you. And as we get into this, I want to understand what story has meant to you over the years, but not in sort of a cliche way, right? You got married, you found love, you found a career. Take me into the kitchen growing up and help me understand the permission structure to engage in story with your family. Did you have it? Did you want it? Did it change over time? Help me understand that.
So as a kid, I was always kind of a weird kid. I was diagnosed with OCD in fourth grade, and that kind of set my course.
That's a rough year. Fourth grade of all years.
Yeah, I was super young. I one night I didn't want to do my homework, and the next day I couldn't touch paper, and it was like nails on a chalkboard for touching paper. And my parents were like, "Okay, just do your homework." I was like, I cannot." And from that point on, it's been a series of uncovering weird OCD tics for me. And the next couple of weeks, I had to wear gloves to school. I had to have lotion on all the time. I had to make sure I held my pen a little bit higher. I would have to wear gloves when I was reading books. I had to turn the page. And from then on, it just gets weirder.
Would you say that did it have sort of a muting effect, almost like you're muting a TV, like when it came to your voice? Like, what did it do in your ability, or this perceived sort of lack of ability, to engage in conversation and be a part of a story? The reason I say that is, so I talk a lot about, and I didn't realize this. This is maybe the power of really diving in, right? I've got a dear friend, Esther Choi, who's got a new book out on storytelling, and it's around not just storytelling, but story discovery, that those are two different things. And I didn't realize it until I was writing the book that for me, story actually came out of sort of this negative space, like in art. I don't mean from a pejorative stance, but it was that my father would come home from traveling all over the world on a regular basis, and I would run into the bedroom as he's unpacking, hoping that he would share some adventure or story. I use adventure very loosely as a term. I don't know if a corporate, company man was having adventures, but he wouldn't share anything.
Yeah.
And I think that actually that void in the space made me more curious, more driven to either sort of make up my own narrative to think like this is what my dad is doing or where he went. And I'm just wondering, as you're a fourth grader, before that happened, before you went to work on your homework and you just couldn't, were you a talkative kid? Was it important for you to be a part of story? Like I love choose your own adventure books.
Yeah.
Those are the books that actually I wanted to read because I was enthralled with, man, Max, if I go to page 54, we're going underwater cave diving. Yeah. But we could go to 75 and climb a mountain, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So help me understand that. Zoom in on that as an editor, right?
Yeah. When I was really young, I don't know if I understood what story meant. I just was kind of living my life. I was playing video games. I was reading books, and I really liked role-playing games. I always found that in these role-playing games, you make a decision, and it has Y consequence. And I loved that. It was very fun, like Dungeons and Dragons style, but I didn't go that far at that time in my life. It was more like constrained within a video game where, you get 3 options, and then those 3 options, you get 3 more options, whereas Dungeons and Dragons, you get 1,000 options. But I always loved that.
So something about the organization.
Something about the organization, it gelled well with my OCD, because my OCD kind of makes it so things are like right and wrong. It's really complicated, but in storytelling is like, oh, this seems the most interesting. This is right. I'm going to go this route. And I've always tried to live my life in a way that is most interesting. Like, this is going to tell a good story.
Yeah. So what's fascinating about that, we're going to, and just because this is sort of like jazz to me, right? We're just going to pick up and start playing, and we're going to meet each other sort of on stage here.
Oh, yeah.
In this manner. So yes, so we're talking a little bit about fourth grade. I love that notion of the role-playing games and the organization of that as sort of a utility for you, right? That there was some utility to it in, I guess, calming or making sense of the world around you.
Yeah.
But you said something that's so fascinating. And I have bemoaned to you off sort of camera and mic that my struggle with the editing world in production is that there are those that edit functionally, right, as a function.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that there's a spirit of a storyteller that understands and is comfortable with the vibration of nuance.
Oh, that is so good. I could talk about that forever. Keep going.
So is there not a fantastic irony where somehow you're winning a daily battle, or you've already sort of won the war? I'll let you pick. That from a kid who was looking at things in sort of this black and white, right or wrong, I can touch that or I can't, I can do my homework or I can't, I can play this role in a game, to being so good at the nuance like that to me, one is encouraging
Yeah.
because I think sometimes when people get down, they're deflated. They don't see an opportunity for growth over time. It's sort of, I am who I am when we're really feeling sort of that sense of hopelessness.
Yeah.
Or we lack sort of a connection to a direction that takes us somewhere with purpose.
Yeah.
Does it strike you as ironic that of all things for you to do, for you to be successful, you've got to find the nuance for clients that come to you for editing projects, for storytelling in any format, does that strike you?
Yeah, it's funny. It's very ironic that in my everyday life, I am choosing 1,000 or 5,000 tiny micro decisions in the edit to tell a cohesive story over time. So I'm like, this shot put right here at this second will ensure that the audience understands this. And then 1 second later, we need them to understand this so that they can understand this, so they can understand this. And then you're building a journey for the audience to get to Z, from A to Z. But you got to get them with each step along the way.
Now, is that so? I'm getting really granular here, but when you're going from A to Z, Max, is that because you're sort of extending a hand out to someone that might operate like you? In essence, you're helping to guide them along, and you know how critical it is that if you're living in a world of black and white, you've got to be able to say, take 2 steps, turn left, take 3 steps, turn right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Is that sort of the frame? And maybe I'm missing that. I'm, in essence, missing a little bit of the nuance because it sounds like you're almost creating sort of a how-to map to go from point A to point Z.
Oh, this is so exciting. This is great. Thank you for having me on this
We're
podcast.
nerding out, Max.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so I have 2 analogies, and you can tell me which one you relate with more.
Okay.
The first one I heard a while ago, and that story is like a river. And you can have your story flow out, but if you jump over here to this different part of the river and you don't connect the original river to that part of the river, that river will not work. It's going to die. It's not going to get any water. You need to take the audience through this river in a way that is compelling so that they can get to the ocean, so that they can finish. The second analogy is one that I created a while ago, where a story is like a tightrope, where the audience is standing on the tightrope and you are making sure that they continue to walk forward along the story, that there's enough momentum and that they don't get distracted by details that push them off of the tightrope. Because as soon as they're pushed off the tightrope, they're going to scroll up and go on to the next one. So you need them to stay on the tightrope, walk along enough until they get emotionally invested where they're like, I actually want to finish this tightrope. But in an era of, retention, you have like 3 seconds to make sure that they take those first couple steps to where they want to actually finish the tightrope.
See, I actually like both of them, but I don't like them sort of in separate, right?
Rip them to shreds.
No, not at all. I actually think you're right. But here's the challenge that I would have to that. I think the tightrope is, so it's fascinating when you do talk about that, the river, right? That if you just sort of go off and you're not providing that, audiences will allow, maybe this is a better way to put it. I believe that audiences will allow you great latitude as long as you maintain sort of that sensibility that you started with.
Depends on the context.
Okay.
In a movie theater, you can make things super abstract because they're stuck in a room and they can't go anywhere. And then, 2 hours later, all of the pieces connect and you're like, that was the best movie I've ever seen. But in a TikTok video, you really have maybe a second. And then over time, you can build out a little bit more trust to make the story a little bit more warped to then bring pieces back together. But you have to start really simple. Look at this thing. And then, Mr. Beast, today we're going to do X, Y, and Z. And then he gets into the story. But every single video this is what is going to happen in this video. Does that answer your question?
It does. I guess I would say maybe I'm the get off my lawn guy, right?
Yeah. Do it. Go.
I believe, so when people, I don't know, over the last 10 to 15 years, you would hear all of this sort of back and forth. People don't like long form content. It's got to be so quick and snappy and whatever.
Yeah.
But then some of the most read people across nonfiction, fiction, right? Science, they're people that actually don't worry about that. In essence, like if you tell a good story, you tell a good story.
Yeah.
And over time, that consistency, it doesn't mean everything has to be long form at all. But I also think that it's one of these, it doesn't also have to be so fractional that we hope that we play to the margins in some way, or the masses maybe, while, knowing the margin, the folks on the margin will pay attention. It's a little bit like, so in education, a lot of times they'll talk about, especially K-12, well, how do we understand conceptually? Are we going to have curriculum that pulls sort of everybody in? Or do we teach, and it's not this, I don't think it's, it's this binary choice, or do we teach to a certain, the kid or kids that aren't getting it on a given subject?
Yeah.
Right. And so how do you do it without leaving somebody behind or keeping someone from their own growth, right, and trajectory? So I'm a little bit in the middle. It probably shows my age and just where I am, but it's like I've just seen too many people who have incredible followings, loyal audiences.
Yeah.
They don't care about, they just don't care about getting it within some window. It's like Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
I have over time just found that whatever it is, I don't care how long it is.
Yeah.
I want to watch it because
you trust Christopher Nolan.
I trust
that he's
him.
going to deliver on your expectations.
Yeah, because from literally the first second, that screen lights up. I don't care if it's on my phone, I'm watching a movie, or it's on an airplane flying somewhere, or in a movie theater. The saturation of the color, it is consistent. The consistency is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I still might walk away going, I don't know if I fully understand what that movie was.
Yeah.
But I know that I was transported somewhere. So for me, I think of it in that way. I just feel like it's a zero-sum game because next week they'll come out with another algorithm, or they'll say, oh, you can't do this, or it's a new platform that celebrates, 4-minute videos, that kind of a thing. So, I don't know where you stand on that, but I do think that there is a difference between those that can functionally edit or sort of take different assets that are tied to storytelling and building story, and those that understand, to your point, sort of that connection from A to Z.
Okay. Can I speak on that?
Absolutely.
So I think that tell me if this makes sense to you. I think that I might be anti-algorithm and pro-story. I think that the algorithm encourages brain rot, whereas good storytelling encourages a deep connection with yourself and the audience.
Completely
and you build
agree.
Trust through a cohesive story so that the next time they see your face, they go, I'll give this guy a couple extra seconds because I know that he's going to deliver. Same with what you do with Christopher Nolan. You know what? I'm just going to go. I don't even have to look at the reviews. I'm just going to go.
That's right. Now, how do you balance that? I know you've got a stack of books there from a group that you're working with, and I've got, for those that are watching, I figured I had to sort of compete with Max here. This is my book here behind me. I don't have as many copies stacked up on my desk here.
I can send you some.
How do you balance that? Because I think that when it comes to storytelling, I would think that you get a lot of these questions. Mm-hmm. Like I got a recent question from somebody as my book launched. They literally sent me a note and just said, look, I do well in a number of different areas, but the one area I don't do very well in is telling my story in the corporate world, right?
Yeah.
How do you balance it's like anything, right? You could be a beer snob, or you could be like an aficionado in something as a hobby or whatever, and it's really hard to distill that or set that to the side.
Yep.
In the spirit of, I've got a project, I've got to get done. Here's the budget. Here's the time. Here are my limitations, right?
Yeah.
When that field that they chalk for you is smaller than the canvas you would ideally like to paint with.
Yeah.
How do you understand that as a creative, as a storyteller?
It's really hard because you have to work within the constraints that you're given or that your industry is given. But there's also people that just totally break those rules, and they just go to YouTube and they post a video of them working out for 20 minutes with 5 cuts, and somehow that goes viral. It's
You see my latest post, then I see.
Yeah. I mean, it's just crazy that people are craving brain rot. It kind of is what I call it, but they also are craving this true authenticity, and it's hard to know which one your audience is gonna go with. So then at the end of the day, there's some artists that say just do what you love, make something that you like, and the audience will follow.
Tell me about being in the zone when you're creating. I don't care what the project is. Help me understand what that feels like for you.
Yeah.
The sights, the sounds, the smells, sort of the environment. Do things sort of go dark around you because you're sort of humming along? What does it mean to be in the zone when you're actively crafting a story?
That's funny. So I'm super ADHD. I've been ADHD since sixth grade when I went to the principal's office 50 times in a year. And yeah, it was a lot. I literally would just like scoot my desk around the class. I would do anything just to not be bored. And now I've learned, kind of like Superman, how to hone in those powers when I'm creating. How do I take this super distracted, I want to look at everything, to hone it in to my screen? And I do that in the edit. And I can just move extremely fast. So what does sort of getting in the zone for me look like? It is as if the world does not exist and I am creating just out of, I don't know if the word is beauty. It's almost like in that scene in Inception when they're in the dream world and they can just create whatever they imagine. That's what I do in the edit when I get in the zone. And I don't eat lunch. I don't go to the bathroom. I just sit here for 6 or 7 hours and just zone in on that one specific project. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, which drives some of my clients crazy, and I just zone in and I get the video done. And I've realized that I sort of have this superpower to do that whenever I want, but that the barriers to that were distractions and the speed in which I could use the programs at my disposal. So then I quickly was like, well, what if I just learn how to use this thing as best as I could, almost as if I'm playing a video game trying to compete with other people. And
so the keyboard is like a console, a video game console.
Yeah, it's a console. It's my piano. It is the at the epicenter of everything that I do. And I realized that the fastest way that I can do it is by playing like I'm video gaming. So I changed all my keyboard shortcuts to my left hand so that I never have to move my hand over to the other side of my computer or to my keyboard, and I can just keep everything here. I have delete over here. I have zoom in, zoom out, enable, disable, my tools, and everything is on my left hand. It's a very custom system. And then I have keyboard shortcuts assigned to my mouse on these buttons, and I just edit like I'm gaming.
Edit like you're gaming? I've never heard that before, so that's fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Help me understand, is there not a dark side, but is there a sort of a counter to that, which is, and I'll share with you, one of the things that drives me a bit crazy is that I'm like you. I can get in the zone. I don't have the shortcuts and all that. I've got my own quirks, right? I've got my bowl of popcorn, and I listen to movie scores while I'm writing.
Nice.
And
I can't listen to anything.
And I can't listen to anything with words, right? Any vocals like in that regard, right? So, but here's the thing. When I get in the zone, like you, I can hammer out stuff that, I mean, if I'm honest with myself, I would think that it's, that's not maybe typical, right? I bet you have that too. It doesn't mean that you're grading yourself against a curve or other people in that regard.
Yeah.
But you recognize that this is a bit insane that you're able to get this amount of quality work maybe done.
It blows people's minds. People cannot handle it. I'm not kidding.
Truth teller, Max Partain.
I'm not kidding. I can't tell people how fast I can work because people go, no, you can't.
Yeah. Or then they wonder what you're doing when you're not. So what I was going to say to that is that sort of the flip for me, and I'm curious if it's for you, I seek out that zone as much as I do, let's say, the work. Meaning, like, my pursuit is I want to have that feeling. Like, it's a bit of a drug in that regard.
Yeah.
And so I'll tell myself, like when I was writing the book, there were points in time where, in a perfect world, I would have been very regimented, right? Sort of every morning I would get up, and I hear authors say this all the time. I get up, have my cup of coffee, and I write till lunch, and then I stare out the window and do other things in my day.
Yeah.
But it's like clockwork. I can't work like that. Like I want to soak up everything in my world. I want to be random in the things that I either search on social, read, or watch, or if there's a documentary or there's a trailer for an upcoming movie. Because what happens to me is then I'll be in a zone and I'll remember something. from this sort of these sort of soaking life up like a sponge
Yeah.
periods that could last just a couple of days or an hour. There's no sort of perfect time frame, but those experiences allow me to be in the zone in those
Yeah.
moments so that it's not artificial. So it drives me crazy because I'll look at a calendar going, in my brain, I know I can get something, like, sure, I can get that finished by Friday. But I'm also waiting in some regard for the inspiration. That's a word I haven't used today
Interesting. Oh, I'm so excited. Can I go?
yet. Yeah, of course.
I don't have that at all.
Oh, you're lucky.
I just sit down, I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, and then I'm 100% focused on that one thing immediately.
Wow. See, that's a talent. That is a talent.
It's the ADHD. I mean, it's just years of trying to be like, I don't know how to hone this thing in, but if I could turn it from this laser pointer that has 1,000 different, like, you know, glass in front of it that makes it really blurry and it can't light the match at the end of the thing. But if I could get rid of all that glass, all that crap, and I could just hone my laser pointer in on that match, I could light that match. And if I could figure out how to do that every single day through routine and making sure that I'm eating healthy and sleeping, I can get more things done than anyone else I've ever met. So I tried to hone that in over years.
Now, has that brought you closer to a sense of self? And what I mean by that is, so when I made the decision to just write and tell stories from a place of honesty, with some hope, I guess, that there's at least one other human being that will connect with it, as opposed to doing what I think people want me to do.
Yeah.
Because I want to get into you and the one reel that you shared with me a while back that really connected. When I made that decision to just be as authentic as I can in a moment, there's no return ticket. Like it's a one-way ticket to a different way to be able to perceive the world around me.
Yeah.
I can't go back to a world where it feels artificial, it feels manufactured.
Oh,
it
man,
feels
you're nailing
modular, right?
Yeah.
Do you feel the same way? Like how is your relationship to self changed? What's the arc?
This is fun. Okay. So I used to create a bunch of stuff for other people. And I thought that my target market wanted to hear how to edit faster. I thought that my target market wanted to hear how to produce better or how to work with their editor better. And then finally, I was getting no return on anything. Nobody was contacting me for anything. Finally, I was like, you know what? Forget this. I don't care about anything that I'm making. Nobody cares about what I'm making. I'm just going to make something for me. That's when I made that video that you saw. And that video crushed. From that point on, my career completely changed.
It's unbelievable, and my hope is that as people are watching and listening, because I mean I think to hear it, that maybe we'll be able to include it into this interview. But I don't know of anything that I have seen, especially by anybody that I know, that is so honest to where you say, if someone watches that and says, wow, you know, poor guy or something like that, without first feeling, I've been there, or I'm there now.
Yeah.
Or I've been terrified that is me if I truly open up the spigot, you know, of honesty.
Yeah.
And I mean, just your body language, even when you talk about it, like it sounds like it was freeing to do.
Oh, yeah. It was amazing. I just said, I don't care. I don't care. This is for me. I love this. I think this is amazing. I think this tells an amazing story. I think it did an amazing job. And I'm just going to post it. I'm not going to ask anybody for permission. I'm not even going to ask my wife. And I'm crying in the video. And
Yes, you are. Yeah.
And there are moments when there are clients belittling me on the quality of my work. And I'm just like, I don't care. That could make me look bad? Maybe. But it's also real. And it's authentic. And it's true storytelling. And I said, and I think people want that right now.
How did that impact your relationships?
I sent it to a couple of my clients. And the first thing was like, wow, Max, looks like you've really grown up. Because I wasn't. I was like, even in the video, my ego is massive in like the first half of it. and I'm just like, creating videos. I'm always right, blah, 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 blah. And I sent it to the clients. I made it specifically for one client who she shall not be named, but I really disappointed her on a project. And it was basically because I was like, hey, I know you have these ideas, but mine are better. Kind of what it boils down to. And I know that you have to present something to client that the client will love, but like, this is a better story, so I'm just going to do that. I'm not going to be your teammate. I'm just going to do this. And I promise you it's better. Just like, trust me that it's better. And there are moments when you can do that, when you have that trust within a relationship, where you're also still giving them the thing that they need. But in that moment, I said, you know what? I know better than you.
And you didn't.
And no, and she never hired me again.
Yeah. And what about your personal relationships when people saw it? Do you mind sharing just how that?
Yeah, I will literally talk about anything you want. So personal relationships, my family was shook. Wow. One, that I had recorded all that content, because it was like a year worth of content to make that story. They're like, you cried in front of a camera? I was like, every single time that I'm emotional, I'm just like, maybe I should record this. I don't know what it's going to be. I'm just going to record it. And most of the time, those are the clips that are like gold, where I'm not trying to be anything. I'm just like, this is what I'm feeling right now. And then when you look back at that a year later, you go, wow, I was feeling that. Or like, there were a couple things where like, here's my goal for a year from now, and this is part of the movie that I'm making of myself. Yes, I'm making like a huge thing of this, because I've been recording for 2 years in my journey to become, to make a lot of money. And if I look back at the goals that I set for myself, it's like, oh wow, I am so unappreciative of the goals that I set, that I didn't even realize that I met the goals that I set a year ago. So filming and doing all of these things has really been so fun, and having my family and friends look at that and be like, oh my gosh, Max, you've really grown. You're really cool. I love this story. What an amazing journey. Was just like, I thought that was going to be the end. But then all these people, because of this story, started reaching out to me. Be like, hey, I have work. I'm like, oh, well, that's cool. Then more people, hey, I have work. Hey, would you be able to do this? Do you know anybody that can do this? Because now they trust me.
Yeah.
All because of that one video. They're
you know
like,
what it is, Max? I think it's not that they trust you. They see you. And there's a bit of a reflection that if they squint a little bit, I think they see the outline of themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know that I already knew it when we chatted, right? Because the irony is, you're in a world in what you do that is sort of, I don't know if it's dead center adjacent, whatever it is, but it's, there's a world where, hey, Max, I can do this for you, right? And I can, we can create X clips and we can do all this sort of stuff because everybody has a brand. This was not a thing 30 years ago.
No.
Right? But everybody now, kids, you have a lemonade stand, you probably need your own Instagram account, right? So it's just... Everybody's sort of chopping up and dissecting all their assets and what they're doing visually and how they're going to tell their story. And so I think your competition are all these people that they're based in efficiency and glitz and that notion that when you open up Facebook and you see people that you know and you think they're either full of it or I want their life.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because everything looks so perfect.
Yeah.
Right. Almost scripted. I think that is something that then sets you apart. I mean, yes, I know I believe, these are my words, that this is really about your story. This is your story sort of unfurling for yourself.
Yeah.
Right. It just happens to be that you have a talent during this time period on planet Earth to be able to tell stories and help other people tell their stories. Right. And like mine might be the keyboard or the pen, and yours is a version of that utilizing other elements that I wish I had the ability, right, and talent. Do you find that? Because I think clients would trust you because they see themselves and they want to have conversations. I bet, it's a really long preamble to say, I would guess that the conversations you have with clients, people that hire you for projects, that are they better at getting to the core, the crux of what they're really trying to do faster? Because your vulnerability creates this sort of welcome mat to a playground that they might not have thought existed if you were just that guy that said, give me the kitchen sink, all your assets, audio, video, logo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would think they come to it quicker.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, people want to work with people that they like, and they want to work with people that they trust. And I think that my aura is radical candor. So how do
Ooh,
I,
radical
and
candor.
there's a book about it. And how do I take a step back and say, hey, look, I like you. You like me. We're friends. I trust you. You trust me. I'm really good at this. You're really good at what you do. Let's cut the crap and let's just make this faster for both of us
Yeah.
and talk about what you want, what you need this story to be, and I'm going to make it happen. And then you're going to critique and make sure that it aligns with client goals. But at the end of the day, I'm the expert in the edit, and you're the expert in what you do. We're still friends. I would hope that I am the expert in this, and I would hope that you would trust me to carry this thing from the start to the finish. You brought it this far. Let me carry it the rest of the way. And that's kind of the aura that I give, and it jives with some people. Some people think I'm an idiot, and they go, "What are you talking about?" And I go, "Well, I don't know. I've spent like 50,000 hours doing this. Like, I'm good. I'm good at this. And if you don't like that, then you probably aren't going to value being able to just give something to someone and trust that it will get done and get done right. If this is Fiverr, they're going to take all the assets just like you talked about, and they're just going to make something.
Yep.
For me, I'm going to ask the questions like a doctor and make sure that I can diagnose before I prescribe the solution. And the only way that I can do that is for you to assume that I'm the expert.
And that skill that you have, that radical candor,
Mm-hmm.
to me, on the other side of that coin, is you finding your voice. I don't think you could do that
No.
unless you like yourself.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
And I didn't for a long time. And I was just kind of mean. And then finally I was like, I think I'm pretty great. And I work really hard to be successful. And I want you to know that I think I'm pretty cool. And I think that's okay. And if that's not okay, we don't have to work together. But like, I'm confident in what I know. And I think you want me to be confident in what I know because I'm the doctor of your edit right now. So let's make it less awkward and let's just say I'm the expert and let's move on. And we're still a team, but I'm the expert in this part of the process.
See, and that's the irony, right? Like I had surgery recently, and I thought to myself, I want my surgeon to be confident.
Mm-hmm.
I want that individual to walk into the OR saying, let's do this.
Exactly what I'm doing.
Let's do this.
I've done this 1,000 times.
Right. We want the pilot. There's just so many cases in life where we want that.
Yeah.
Yet it does feel like in sort of this B2B world or in, storytelling through social or branding and all that, it's like, no. I know the vision. Well,
You know the vision. I know how to put it together in a way that makes a compelling story that your audiences are going to love. What's your audience? It's maybe this client. Well, is it? Let's hone in on your audience. I know the questions to ask.
And that's the truth telling, right? That sometimes, and maybe that's where we don't have a lot of practice. I remember, and this is a story for another day and maybe off air, maybe the broad sort of tentacles of it, but this is eons ago. I met this casting director in Los Angeles, much younger days, right?
Yeah.
And I remember being a bit sort of full of myself thinking, I can't believe I've got this meeting. Right.
Yeah.
And this woman.
Because you were successful at the time?
Because I wasn't. I mean, it was one of those things where
you were like, I can't believe it. This is amazing.
I got a meeting that I should not have had.
Got it.
And
That's me with this podcast.
Yeah. Her radical candor was that, like, basically, Rod, you don't get it. There are thousands of Rods here in Hollywood. I'm looking for the one that sticks out. And it might be that they look different. Maybe their physical stature is different. Like all the things that we would find quirky or we might devalue, sadly, because of whatever sort of nod we have to some desire for perfection, weight, stature, all these sorts of things. It like flipped everything on its head for me. It was like, okay. And I think that don't you think that sometimes people in life, when they're trying to work with others or collaborate, they want to be the head of a race where there are millions of competitors just like them.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, wait a minute. What if we invert that?
I was
tell a
trying
story?
To be just like them. I wanted to be just like everybody else. I'm going to make you content that you're going to value. You got to make stuff that they're going to value. And I was like, well, what if I'm just me?
Yeah, what? I mean, doesn't that make people? It is. It's like when you read something, or
It's a superpower.
it is a superpower, right? It's an advertisement where they take something that your eye looks at and you can't square. You're like, why does this look off to me?
Yeah.
And in doing that, you remember that ad during the Super Bowl over something that is just, again, like, oh, that's just another funny clip of something that now we see on Instagram and Facebook all the time.
Yeah.
Right. It's sort of, it's separating yourself, not for just the fact, not just for like the exercise of separating yourself, but actually being yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to ask you a couple of, I don't know if they're industry questions in this regard, but do you stay up at night at all, or do you wonder about a world where people that have not put in 50,000 hours, don't even need to know how to code or now even prompt, can basically voice into the ether a desire of what they want to see and hear, and that within seconds a story gets packaged together through the incredible sort of unimaginable world, because we can't imagine what's coming from AI.
Yeah.
Like, how do you think about that there are people that they won't need to put in 50,000 hours to maybe have something that looks like it's Max Partain's work?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, and it's terrifying, and it's awesome, and it's terrible. I find it all really interesting. I think in the future there will be a world where you click a button and you get exactly what you want to hear. And I think the value for someone like me is, how do I make something that I want to make, that's about me, that is raw and authentic, and I'm not going to worry about that AI stuff. Mm-hmm. I can't. I'm never going to be able to. I don't want to be just. I can't compete with that. I don't know. I think about AI and storytelling all the time. Like, even in editing, there's a program right now called Eddie AI, shout out, and you can just add a interview clip, and it will tell a story of that interview clip in like a 2-minute. Like, if it's a 40-minute interview, if it's this podcast, it'll put it into a 2-minute thing that you can import into Adobe Premiere Pro, which is the software of choice that I use. And it will be a story that goes from A to Z. But for me, it doesn't work, because a lot of what I do is extremely nuanced, where an AI is not going to know that somebody's laugh could be an incredibly important thing to put right after a punchline. Or maybe I had an interview the other day that I just edited. A kid walks in mid-interview, and it's like, shoot, what do we do with this interview? And it's a really sweet and cute moment that the AI never would have been able to catch, because it doesn't go in line with the formula. Someday I might be able to, but for right now, I still think that I can beat an AI in any storytelling.
So let's
break it down. Rip me to shreds.
No,
Hurt me.
not at all. Let's sort of take an off ramp here, because I'm curious. You're a dad.
Yep.
I'm a dad. Then how do you? I don't have an answer, so I'm very curious to see what your perspective is. How do you then think about how you will talk about storytelling with your child over time, in a world where they can just put in sort of a request and it gets adapted and applied, right? Because in an alternative world, which is the world you and I grew up in, you would sit, you would contemplate, you would maybe whiteboard, you'd go through, slews of paper, reams of paper, and try to understand and write characters, and just, you'd map it out, and you would find your sweet spot, right? And so I wonder how I'm going to communicate that to my kids, or audiences of kids that I speak at, or with, on how to understand and identify their voice, so that it represents the essence of them and their humanity, and the impact they want to have on the world around them. And I just wonder how we're going to find those lessons and opportunities that were rich for you and I, even though I'm older than, like, right? We still had those opportunities.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they're going to have those opportunities in the same way. They'll be different, but I just wonder on, how to do that.
I mean, so let me try and break it down into like an analogy. It's like we have a million data points of our life. And the way that me and you are doing it is we take those million, we look at all of that million, and then we make it into a compelling story. What they're going to do is they're going to click a button and it'll be a story. And then they're going to click another button because they want to change just this part of the story. And then it's going to make it a little bit different. And they're going to click a button and then they're going to do it that way. It'll take them, 100 times less time. They'll still be able to tell a compelling story, but I do think that they will still need to be the writer of their story, even if it's with AI and prompting.
So it's almost like they're just at a different point in time in the film strip. Like
it's a new tool.
It's a new tool.
I don't think it's gonna erase story.
I'll give you a real-time example. As we're sort of rounding third on our discussion here today.
Sure.
My 11-year-old was running for student council, and she had to give a speech in the big auditorium, this beautiful theater.
Cute.
And we didn't even know the time was. I mean, we were on the kitchen counter, just, she's talking to me about what she'd like to communicate, and I would ask her questions, and then she would run some stuff by me. And I would just ask her, like, well, what's your intent? Who are you speaking to? And if this is who you're speaking to, who might you be leaving out? Just sort of big conceptual questions, right? 3 hours went by, which was unbelievable, right?
Yeah.
Well, in that, she was able to craft her own story, right? In a way that was fascinating. And here's the cool part. Her school is a bit, for U.S. standards, it's an old school. It's like almost 140 years old. So they have sort of these, I don't even call it. It's like the Greers and the Platos, and you get assigned and whatever. So they have all these sort of competitions during the year that go back, a long time.
Cool.
And so she was also going to run for the rep of her affiliation, right? So these two, but the speeches were incredibly different. One is around sort of being fun and social and rah-rah, as a representative for that. But then you've got the student council piece. They're really two different stories of who she is, who she would be in those roles. And it was awesome as a parent to see her mind ping pong back and forth, understanding that even the delivery of a word, given those two platforms, can be very different in what you're communicating and how you do it. And I thought to myself, that was an amazing exercise for her. She did a fantastic job. But if she had, and she knew it too, she even said to me, she said, Daddy, I could just plug this into ChatGPT and get a speech like that. Yeah. She was super smart about it. She just said, look, I could say, study the website of the school, write me a speech in the voice of an 11. Like, she knew all of this.
Yeah. Wow.
She would have missed out on that entire sort of memory. One, I'd like to, think I'm romanticizing it, right? Just in the sort of the narrative between father and child in that way.
Yeah.
But she would have missed out. So yes, they are different tools, but I just wonder, what are we missing, right? It goes back to like the pruning of the brain, right? Like, if use it or lose it.
Yeah.
And so like, if she wouldn't be using that and she would have just sort of plugged that in, I wouldn't have known. She could have, I guess, told a little white lie and said, oh, look what I did, Dad. How would I know? Other than, well, she's a witty kid, and but I had to prove. I watched her do it in real time, which was great. But that's sort of zooming in. That's sort of the edit. I feel like we're cutting. To use it's like we're making a cut. We're splicing something out.
Yeah.
That is integral to our ability to understand and communicate the world around us, so we can pass on stories to the next generation.
Yeah. Do you want me to agree with you or disagree with you?
What a fantastic question.
Yeah.
Is that your advice for marriage today? You just say to your spouse,
do you want
would you like me to
feedback? Do you want 50% feedback or 100% feedback?
Or a radical candor?
Yeah.
Right. As we enter into our weekend, like, would you like radical candor tonight?
Yes.
I want you to be honest. Maybe if I'm missing something, I want to know about it because
Yeah.
I want to improve as well. I don't want to be sort of stuck in some time warp.
Yeah. The way that you understand the world will never be the way that they understand the world. So what you to believe to be integral to understanding the world will not be integral to how they understand the world. It's in the same way where, when you bake a cake, does that starts with flour? Why don't you go and like make all the original ingredients, you grow all of them and do all of that? I'm sure at one point in time that was an art, and to those people that helped them understand the world. And now you just buy flour and you just buy it in a grocery store. And the same way, I think for them, storytelling is going to be just a click of a button, same as it is for flour with us, and they're going to understand. And just like what you said, it's going to make space. Them not having to make and do all the things for flour to make cake, they are now able to fill it in with a bunch of other things.
And so so I love that. My only addition to that would be my deep-seated hope that as they're baking that cake, that let's say it's for somebody, it's a surprise, whatever it is, it's some occasion, that they have the ability in real time, without preparation, without a script, to be able to sort of bring that cake into that celebration, whether it's among one or many, and talk about not the cake, but the symbolism of that cake.
Yeah.
Right? That your wife could
that
walk in with the
tell a
cake.
Story.
I know, but can they tell that story? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right. That would be and maybe that's the constant sort of repetition of trying, like through the pursuit of that, we do ourselves and the generations after us a favor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Because we focus in on that. We zoom in. Right. We put it under the microscope and say, well, that's fantastic. We got more efficient at baking a cake.
Yeah.
But like, tell me about that cake.
Yeah.
Right? Like, help me understand what, like you took such pains to make sure that it was perfect.
Yeah.
Why the choice of that
cake? We'll miss that if it's.
I don't know. I think that's more of my fear, that it's like, you don't know it. It's like maybe it's the appendix. There was a young man on my son's soccer team that had to get his appendix removed, and then the kids are asking me like, well, what do we use? What's it for? It's like, well, we don't. We used to use it, right? And then everyone's looking up like, exactly what did the appendix do?
Yeah.
Right. It's still there. It takes up space.
Yeah.
And so that's the part. And I don't think that's the beauty. Look, that's the beauty of story and storytelling. I think everybody thinks we have to have an ending, right?
Yeah.
We have to have a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Yeah.
Not actually. If that were the case, I think life would be pretty boring. And your story would have potentially ended. I don't mean like in some, fatalistic means, right? But
I hope my story never ends.
Right? That you will look back and go, wow, in 2025, I really thought that I had found a summit, sort of this safe place that sort of illustrated accomplishment, through journey and pain, all these sorts of things. But I didn't realize that I needed to look right over my shoulder, right, and peer up, because
there's 100 more mountains to go.
Yeah, but not in a way that right? It's just so it's exciting because you've sort of discovered yourself. Max, you and I could talk for hours, whether we're recording or not. What I love is that you ask me questions and you push back, but you also do so in just an inviting way, which does not surprise me in the slightest. I want to make sure that people can find you, get to know more about you, because you're one of one in my estimation. And I do genuinely mean what I said at the beginning. I think you've just scratched the surface. Like, you're sort of that savant, sort of, it's the kid playing in the sandbox. You're going, that kid plays a little bit differently with the toys in the sandbox. And that's a fantastic thing, right? Because that person is going to grow up and do things that are going to be transformational for people. And I do believe that in you. So I want to make sure people can get connected.
Sure. You can follow me on Instagram, Max Partain, MaxPartain, or on my website, or if you want, you can text me at 630-740-0909.
Look at that. See, that's the authenticity. I love it, man.
Yeah.
Max, you are a true pro, and you make me excited to be around you and to think about story in a way that is not artificial, manufactured, stuck in a series of modules. You are messy in the
Forget
most
the
beautiful
modules,
ways, right? Yeah, forget the modules, right? I'm so tired of the modules, like the old plug and play, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like, no, I don't know, let's switch all the chords up and see what
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
see what happens. I want to thank everybody for taking the time. You can learn more about my book, The Narrative Edge: Authentic Storytelling That Meets the Moment, wherever books are sold. And like I have said recently, if you want to send me a DM on any of the social networks and just put the words "lost chapter," I'll be happy to send you the lost chapter that is only in the audiobook. Again, don't ever forget, if you're not in control and telling your story, then who is? You've been listening to The Narrative Edge. You can get your copy of the book wherever books are sold. And remember that The Narrative Edge takes you around the world of storytelling, returning you to your story and the moments that define a life in motion. I want to thank my friends at Rig Productions and encourage you to check them out if you're looking to broadcast your ideas. Until next time, my friends, and remember that if you're not in control of your story, well, who is?